What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Adobe Live here on Behance. I'm here with my new friend, Ryan Hamrick. Welcome, Ryan.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone, for being patient with us while we got started. Let us know in the chat that you're here. Say what's up. Give Ryan some love. It's his first time here at Adobe Live.
Yes. See them hearts.
Aww. Yeah, apparently a couple of your friends have been on Adobe Live before.
Yeah, that's
right. So you know they survived.
And yeah, I was able to ask them some questions and say, is this legit? Who's this Adobe that's contacting me? I don't know. So yeah, they said it was good. They said it was all on the up and up. So
cool.
I was like,
Not
let's
pirated.
do it. That's right.
Nice. So we got people in the chat saying, what's up, Adriano, Jordan, and while you're at it, let us know where you're watching us from. Yeah. We are in San Francisco. You flew in from Austin this morning.
This morning.
Oh, goodness.
It's been a day so far. I've probably done a whole day. It's about 12:30 at home, so I've been up for 9 hours already.
Let me see. Let me count backwards. How long have I been awake? Like 3.
Yeah. You know.
Amazing. Tom says Austin is cool.
Yes, sir.
Cannot confirm. Never been.
Not currently. It's not very cool.
No.
It's very hot.
That makes sense.
Hey, what's up, Neil?
Hey, Neil. Hello, hello. So Ryan is here to do some lettering.
I am.
It is hand lettering week here on Adobe Live. And if you are just joining us for the first time, this is a weekly show that we like to do with different themes every week. So we have like XD, we do hand lettering, animation, illustration, all kinds of stuff. So we have the schedule behind us right now. Started the day with the XD Daily Creative Challenge with XO Pixel. We had Anna and Ari at 9. We're picking it up with Ryan at 10:30. We got Mark coming up after that. And then myself and Cindy will be closing out the day from 1:30 to 3. And if you are totally new, like I said, you might not know that we like to do a little something called Chat and Win during our segments where you have the opportunity to win a little something from us. Just a little thank you for hanging out with us. So today's Chat and Win is you will be receiving 100 credits to Sticker Mule. Amazing. It's the fastest and easiest and, might I say, highest quality way to get custom custom stickers for anything. You can see a bunch of awesome brands have worked with Sticker Mule in the past. All of my stickers on my laptop, Sticker Mule. So stick around in 30 minutes. I know, they're cool, right? Stick around in 30 minutes for that Chat and Win. All you have to do is say something in the chat in 30 minutes. And then 30 minutes after that, we're going to be reviewing our challenge entries. So like we said, this week is hand lettering. The challenge today is to hand letter Adobe Live using the color palette that we've provided to you over here in the challenge tab. So check that out. You have an hour to get that done. Okay, enough of my spiel. Ryan, who are you? What are you about?
I'm Ryan. I have been a commercial lettering artist and designer for almost 8 years. I've been doing everything from logo types to advertising to packaging design, all kinds of stuff. And it's just been by far the most rewarding work that I've ever dabbled in. And
dabbled.
Yeah. Well, you know, when I first started out, it was very much just on a whim. I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do. I was teaching myself web design at the time, or trying to, and I just looked at the task ahead of me and thought, I don't know if I see a path to making myself stand out or to ever even catch up, let alone get ahead.
Yeah.
And then it was about that time when I just kind of stumbled across some lettering on sites like Dribbble and Behance, and just and it was just kind of just taken by it so strongly, and decided to try my hand at it. It was really, really rough at first.
Right.
This isn't just something I came across and was just like, wow, I have this natural talent for it.
So good.
Quite the opposite. and you know, but I instantly knew that I was just totally hooked, and that I wanted to dedicate whatever it took to getting better at it and making it a thing. Yeah. So yeah, here we are. I'm in San Francisco now at Adobe doing some live lettering. So I'm excited.
8 years later. Man, Jason says, oh, this is art. I agree, Jason. It is art. And we had May in the chat saying you are one of her favorite letterers. So nice.
Thanks.
Yeah, and so we already have questions coming into the chat, which is crazy, because I'm sure we're going to get a lot. So chat, if you have questions, please feel free to ask them for the next hour and a half. That's how long we have Ryan with us, but he will be back tomorrow and the next day.
Yep.
And then you can also follow him on Instagram at Hamrick.
Yep, got it.
So-
Hamrick, that's it.
Totally. So check them out there. If you have any more questions, send them that way as well. And before we get into answering questions, let us know what you're going to be doing for the next couple days.
So I have decided to refresh a classic design of mine. Classic in my eyes, anyway.
Totally vintage.
I designed this T-shirt 5 years ago that is a black ink on black shirt that just says my other shirt is all black because this is pretty much my typical uniform here, my designer outfit. See,
Same.
she knows what's up. And so I've been really wanting to redo it for a long time because no matter how okay it is, it's bothering the hell out of me because it's been out there for years and years. So
Feel ya.
I've really been wanting to refresh it before I release it again for sale or anything. So
Great.
that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to redo this design. I'm familiar with these letters and everything, but I want to give it a different style and, approach it from a more, developed
Mature.
perspective. Yes.
So is it anywhere online that we can see the
I
first version?
don't know. It is on Cotton Bureau currently, which is it's not for sale currently, but it's on there.
Would I be able to find it if I
yeah,
search for
just
it?
Google the other shirt, Cotton Bureau.
The other shirt. I bought something off Cotton Bureau one time.
Nice.
It was pretty cool.
Yeah, my
Recommend
friends
it.
actually started that in Pittsburgh when I was,
nice.
I guess, while I was still there, living there.
Here it is.
Yeah. So that is the current rendition. Not bad, but there's, tons of balance things that bother me. Spacing is a little weird.
Is there this texture in the real thing?
So this was actually a very, kind of truncated version of my process. I didn't go through the whole vectoring process that I typically do and that I'm
Right.
going to do this week. I basically just did that with a brush pen a million times until I got it to a place where I
Yeah.
kind of liked it, and then did a little auto trace and just slapped it on a shirt.
Okay.
So that's another reason why I'd like to approach it from a more expert
Yeah.
position and do a little bit more careful design on this thing.
Definitely.
So, yeah.
We have a t-shirt printer somewhere in this building.
Oh.
We should try and get it printed
Hey,
at the end of the week.
if I could go home with this shirt to model
That's how we're paying you.
for selling it,
Here's your shirt. And you're like,
we'll
thanks.
pay you in screen printing. How's that sound?
Yes.
Yeah.
A little bit of a trade economy.
Yeah.
All right, cool. I like this, but let's make it even better. Miguel, I'll answer your question super quickly for the challenge. Are we allowed to use more colors in addition to the ones provided in the brief? We're challenging you, Miguel, to use a very limited color palette. So try your best to just use those couple of different hues. But as Tim says, as long as those colors come up somewhere, go for it.
I appreciate the hair comment, Joseph. I have been traveling and sweating all morning, so the fact that it's not a frizzy giant mess is a win for me. So
There you
that's
go.
nice and cool here, so that's helpful.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Compared to Austin.
But thanks for noticing, right?
Yeah.
I got up super early so I could take care of that just for you, Joseph. So, all right.
Oh no, Joseph's gonna be watching. I gotta get coiffed. Okay, enough of this.
All right.
Let's see what you actually
Okay.
do.
So I got my paper rolled out here. I've got a giant little space here. I don't know how much I'm going to use of it, but we might keep just rolling this out. And,
All of it.
We'll do what we got to do.
Yeah, it's just a roll of butcher paper. We
That's
can
right.
just
That's good. Yeah. We can just fill the whole table with little sketches here. So
do it.
when I'm first starting out, I really like to start on paper. There's just very few other things that can compare to it. I do a lot of work on the iPad and stuff too, especially like early stages, because having an undo button is awesome for iterating through things quickly.
Yeah.
But oftentimes I'll kind of switch back and forth between paper and that as well, and just kind of start everything out with some good old-fashioned sketching. And just to kind of get started, I'll take whatever phrase or word it is that I'm drawing and just kind of start writing it out, see what letters I'm working with, how they might lend themselves to some natural interactions between each other, things like that. And then just kind of go from there and just see what it shows me in the letters. So now we'll do, what is it? My other shirt is all black. Yeah, I already forgot it. Okay. So I'll come in here and I'll just start laying down just some kind of skeletons. I might need to use a darker pencil, actually. Let's see, I got another one here.
Nice. Do you know the actual weights you're
Hardness.
using?
Yeah. Okay, this one's too sharp. It's breaking on me. Yeah, so when I'm sketching, I like to use one of 2 to 3 different lead hardnesses. I use these lead pointer or these lead holders because you can just get an absolutely perfect, consistent, sharp point every single time, which is super important for doing lettering, because I found few things that affect the way that your curves come out of that pencil like a sharp pencil. So definitely gotta keep them sharp. And I usually, as I just attempted to, I usually start with a 2H, which is very, very light and hard.
Faves.
It's good. It's good. It's great for sketching, and it doesn't feel too permanent, right? It's nice and light, and you know, it stays sharp longer too because it's so hard. So that's super helpful, and it feels like it makes me more productive when I'm sketching things over and over again quickly early on, to not have to stop and sharpen every 5 seconds.
Right.
So that's nice. This one right here that I'm using now is just an HB, and I went too far for that. Fix it all later.
Yeah, Christina's saying, seeing how the sausage is made.
Yeah.
All the imperfections and everything.
That's right. And I don't usually talk the whole time I'm doing it either. So
True.
You get the extra special approach here. But yeah, so between HB and 2H, that's usually what I use, even for final sketches when I'm trying to get things really, really super tight and dialed in. I usually don't go any harder than an HB. I find that that's plenty dark enough to get a nice fill, and you know, anything softer just, again, dulls too fast and just annoys me. So
yeah, it gets smudgy.
Right. So
Agreed.
now I'm just kind of starting by just slowly sketching out some more careful letters, just playing with some different swashes and stuff like that. I don't worry too much about being too perfect at first. And I just kind of develop the style as I go along. I might try like a little faster style here in a second.
Yeah.
I'll probably misspell things a lot.
I'll let you know.
Okay.
Like, uh-oh, you're starting to make an R when it should be a T.
I spent a week and a half on a design a while back, and just like refined.
No.
Did the whole like weight and everything, got it all nice and filled, and then realized right before I was going to post it on Instagram that I had an extra letter in there.
Good thing you realized.
Yeah, it was the business of hand lettering, and it was the bussiness of hand lettering. I had 2 S's in there.
The bussiness.
Yeah. All right, let's
The
see.
bidness.
Yeah. So when I'm doing this too, I'm also thinking a lot about the phrasing that I want to use on these things, or you know, how many words I want to have on each line, right?
Yeah.
Because if you want an overall design that's kind of got a nice shape, then you got to kind of figure out what the spacing needs to be, what lines need to have what words, and what and so on. And so that's a lot of what I'm trying to figure out in this stage too. I already have done this design, of course, so I'm kind of following the general framework of what I did before. This is what, 6 words, so you know, 2 at each line kind of makes sense. None of them are too long. Sometimes you have a crazy long word in the middle of the thing you're doing.
Right.
And so this one should be pretty straightforward, but this is a stage where I kind of dial some of that in typically, because sometimes you don't know. You start putting it down and you're like, oh wait, yeah, that's going to be a problem because this thing is long as hell. Oh.
That's an easy one. And chat, if you have more questions, feel free to ask them. I think I might have missed some, so I'm going to scroll on back up. Let's see. Tom wants to know, did you design your tattoo?
I did not. So I've been trying to design tattoos for a long time.
Okay.
Without getting them ever, because I was never happy enough with them, of course. And at one point I just decided, you know what, if I try and design my own, I'm never gonna get it. So I kind of like did some early concepting and laid down what I knew that I wanted it to be, and then I just trolled tattoo artists on Instagram for a while, found one I really liked that was really generally talented at a lot of black and gray work, and then just told him, this is what I want, I need you to like create it. And then he just did most of it freehand, actually, if you can believe it. Yeah. So I picked well. My guy was awesome. So this is kind of a decent lockup. I don't know if it's really the style that I want to have for the new design, but it's an option. So I'm gonna try and do more of a a gestural approach now with kind of like some faster strokes and being a little bit more crazy.
Yeah.
Because I think that might be the kind of vibe I'm wanting, something a little bit more aggressive on the new T.
Right.
And less kind of flowy and elegant. So we'll see. We'll see what this looks like. I find it hilarious sometimes what letters I can and can't do quickly. So some of these might be really weird. Like S, for instance, I'm super comfortable with, but some of the other ones maybe not. So we'll see. I also like to do this kind of thing with a brush pen typically, but...
Right. Wonder if we have any in here.
If you do, I'll play with them.
Perhaps not.
It's all right, too.
Ooh. Nice. So chat, do you have a preference for the style of hand lettering? Do you like that kind of swashy, very elegant look? Maybe the more brush pen or paint marker look? What do you like? Let us know. I really like the almost like naive, childish hand lettering. It's my fave. It's my aesthetic. Wade says, you didn't bring your own brush pens? Absurd.
Only so much room in the carry-on.
That's true. Very true.
All right, so S is one of my favorite letters to draw quickly. I always feel like it comes out way better than if I do it slowly. So let's see what we got here. My pencil, if your pencil's too sharp too when you're doing this kind of gestural style, moving quickly, you can break and do all kinds of weird stuff. So I like to let it dull down a little bit when I'm doing this kind of thing. So it looks about right now. So like that kind of.
That was nice. Patricia says, I haven't met a letter I didn't like. They're all good ones.
I like it.
You know, I actually really dislike making Ks, which is hard because my name starts with a K.
Oh yeah, well, so one of my least favorite letters is the R because of the same reason. You can never get it good enough. I also dislike the K though. So
it's just like I feel like it never looks good.
Right.
There's never a cool K. Maybe you disagree with me, chat. Let me know. Christina Kaiser might have a different thought. She is a KK.
It's a very important letter in that equation.
I used to be a KK, and I finally changed my last name, and I was like, thank goodness. Less Ks.
Running out of room. So here's what I'm going to do.
Composite.
That's right. That's right. So I'm going to come over here, and can we still see me over here? Just barely?
Yeah.
Right, let's do this. I'll put it right here.
Perfect.
All right. So trying to match my size a little bit here.
What's up, Vishal? Thanks for joining us. Dana, I agree. The K is so beautiful, and it can be beautiful, but I personally cannot make a good one, and I write it every day.
Okay. I don't want to get too far off the right there.
You can?
Yeah, I can.
Okay, so you do you.
Okay.
You move around. We'll have Paco do some magic.
Cool.
Thank you, Paco. Happy late birthday again.
Oh, man.
Paul wants to know, do you ever use containers before you start?
Do you mean like guidelines and stuff like that, I assume?
Or like squares to fit letters within?
Totally. Depends on what the project is. If I'm working on, for instance, a piece of advertising lettering or something like that, a lot of times those need to fit in some pretty specific spaces, right?
True.
So if they have this key photography that's really, really awesome and you need to work around that somehow, the space that you're fitting in might be really specific and need to fit in there really nicely. So a lot of times that's where I will get the guides out and just really kind of find a nice composition before starting on letters at all even, and see how I want to fill that space best. Otherwise, some of the work that we showed earlier, the one that's in the background of us right now, kind of peeking out underneath there. Like that cartouche style lettering that I like to do a lot. I usually definitely start with guides on that. If nothing else, just a bunch of, baseline and X height lines to kind of just get everything lined up and nice and tight. But it also kind of depends on the style that I'm going for too.
Right.
If I want something that's a little bit more casual and playful, then I'll usually just start without any guides like this and just kind of just let it be a little freer and just kind of eyeball it a lot of the time and see what feels right. But then other times if I need something that's really crisp and, really tightly focused, like maybe something for, say, a jewelry brand or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
Something that needs to be a little bit more cleaned up and tidy, then I'll definitely get the guides out and be really, really precise with those things. So it just kind of depends on what the end goal is. So I really am liking this style here that
Me
I've got
too.
going on.
I agree.
I think that the bee is another one that I really like to draw fast because slow sucks, and then the fast is always good.
Yeah.
So I think I can work with that. So what I want to do, I'm trying to think here. Why don't I'm going to try and like recreate this mashup here, right up here, a little bit smaller.
Okay.
Before moving on, because I want to kind of see how these guys fit in underneath here a little bit better, and see how I might work up here to kind of tighten this shape up, because I want the overall shape to be kind of symmetrical, kind of appealing, a little bit self-contained. I've been designing those cartouches for so long that anything that's like wildly out of the scope of kind of a nice little tidy shape is a little troubling to me. I don't know if it's OCD or what, but
No, it's true. And it's
yeah.
also going to be on the front of a t-shirt.
Sure.
So it needs to fit well.
yeah, it's got to be a shirt shape, right?
Yeah. And we can move the paper over more if you'd rather just keep moving it, or if you want to work up there,
I'll
you're
tell you
totally
what,
able
let's
to.
do that, and
Okay.
then I'll do it larger instead of smaller.
Sweet.
This is a lot larger than I usually like to start too. I don't know if it's because I got the extra space or what. I
Right.
usually just work on regular old printer paper.
Do you still want this?
I want it like over here, so we can get rid of like this whole side here.
I can rip it, but if you're still going to use that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna use that as a
so yeah, let's just extend it
reference.
down.
Cool.
Is that good?
Yeah, I think that's great. Oh, cool. Awesome. Plenty of space. Awesome. Thanks, Paco. Cool.
Yeah, Paco.
So, all right, let's do this. Let me fold that back to smidge there. Double up. Like it. Now I can see it all. Cool. So I wasn't super inspired by the Y that I did over here either. A little simple. So I'm gonna maybe try and finesse that a little bit in my second round here. I might try and use this O to fill some of the space over here, possibly, and just kind of see where this takes me. I'll sometimes draw a thing 20, 30, 50 times. Sometimes I get things that I really, really like earlier on, so it just all depends. It depends on what letters I'm working with. There's some that are just crazy challenging and just don't lend themselves to anything interesting.
Right.
I think this one's gonna work out just fine, but yeah, sometimes it's not so easy. So I'm gonna start here and recreate what I just had.
This is a step that I always get really stressed out about because I'm like, it's not going to be as good as the first time I did it. What do I do?
That's what's really cool about the iPad too, is right, you can just take something that you like, save it off to the side or duplicate it or whatever, and then try some new crazy stuff. And then if it doesn't go well, then you can just throw that away, come back to the one that you liked, and go on with that one. So, but on paper, you got tracing paper, you can redraw.
Love
You can
tracing
try
paper.
something. Little pro tip, when I'm not drawing on butcher paper, I like to use marker paper a lot instead.
Ooh.
The only reason being is because, tracing paper, I don't know if I'm like particularly moist person or what, but as soon as I start putting my arm on a piece of tracing paper, it just starts rolling up like crazy and getting in my way and distracting me. So the marker paper though, you can find it, a lot of brands make it. What I just did there. I'm not going to erase though, because I don't erase.
Don't do it. We can't even see it, so it's fine.
Okay. Oh yeah, it's nice and hidden up there. I like it. More contrast. But yeah, the marker paper has a little bit of a transparency to it.
Right.
But it's a
vellum-y.
lot more. Yeah, it's smoother. It doesn't have all that crazy texture that a tracing paper has.
Yeah.
So that's a little less distracting. And also, you can see through it, but you can't see perfectly through it like you can with tracing paper a lot of times, which also can be distracting. If you're trying to fix issues that you're coming across, right, and your second pass on something, having that first one right there really clear can be problematic a lot of times because you can't think differently sometimes.
That's so true.
So the marker paper is awesome. Also, it comes on a nice, I guess tracing paper does too, but I leave it in the pad, little 9x12 thing. So it helps keep your things together. You can move it around a lot easier without them moving under the paper.
Right.
Anything, so.
Right. Tracing paper can get crazy.
Yes.
Paper cut city sometimes.
All right. I'm going to wait on the tail of this Y until I get some other things in there.
Smart.
So I can kind of play with the space that I'm going to have left over. I like to kind of hold off on certain things. T crossbars, you know, different swashes of things that I might want to do something very particular with when I know what else is happening first.
That's a cool pro tip. Never even thought about holding off.
Yeah. I have to do it all at once, man.
So chat, we have about 3 minutes left until we're going to be doing our chat and win. Now would be a good time to get logged in on Behance, or if you're over on YouTube watching, come on over to Behance. be.net/live is where we are chatting. That's where we can see your chat. So in about 2.5 minutes, we will be asking you a specific question. And when you answer, you'll be entered to win 100 credits to Sticker Mule. I have some awesome sticker examples here. They are so high quality. You can get die cut, you can get circle, you can get sticker sheets. It's amazing. So if you win the giveaway, you could win 100 credits for that. And we might have a special surprise afterwards as well. I don't think Ryan even knows about it because I didn't tell
Nobody
him.
tells me anything.
No.
Maybe you did, and I was just like out of it because I've been up forever.
Yeah. You're like, what time is it?
Very possible.
What's up, Mike? Carlos, hello, hello. William. Am I bringing back the trivia? Was the trivia ever here, William? Or did it ever leave?
I mean, trivia is one of those things, you know, just persists throughout.
That's true. Earlier, actually, I asked Ryan what he thought about history.
That's right.
It's like, what do you think about history?
How do you feel about history?
Is
I
this
was
a
like,
trivia show?
How do I feel about history? I mean,
It's a test.
I'm for it. You know?
It exists. The truth is out there. Rachel says, I could use some stickers on your new laptop. Congrats, Rachel, on the new hardware. Whoa.
So I'm gonna like make a note for myself to cut that off a little shorter. I'm not erasing today.
I'm going to hide your eracer.
Right, now I get
Can't have this.
no eraser for you. I am still confused about what I want to do with this Y. Maybe I'll kind of blow it out here. Something like that. I don't know. That might change.
We'll see, we'll see.
Yeah.
Shelby says, your S is crazy. Crazy cool.
I didn't like spend an exorbitant amount of time like trying to practice that. It's just one that, I don't know, my arm likes to do. It's just one that I can kind of pull off.
Great. And speaking of that, do you feel like it's super important to change the way you're drawing when you're hand lettering, like drawing with your whole arm or just your elbow and your wrist?
So I've never really gone fully into like the calligrapher's approach to using like whole arm movements
From
and
the hip.
keeping your keeping your hand off the paper. I am definitely more of a hand down sketcher.
Yeah.
That's just the way that I kind of came into this. I don't have any calligraphic training at all.
Yep.
So doing that is tricky for me. There's certain things, especially when I'm moving really quickly like that, where that is super helpful.
Yep.
If you want to really develop that skill of being very fluid and being able to move quickly and do a lot of gestural stuff, that's definitely the way to go if you want to work on that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I have never taken the time to really develop that muscle memory, so it just isn't something that I typically do, except for very specific situations like that.
Yeah, at least you know when to use it.
Yeah.
And when not to. In
Yeah.
chat, something I know is that it's time for the chat and win.
Oh!
Woo!
Do I just keep drawing?
You can keep drawing.
Okay.
We are going to be giving away 100 custom stickers to one of you in chat, so make sure you are logged in and ready to answer our question. And the question can be anything. It can be like, what's your favorite shampoo? Or do you know Ryan? So what should we ask them? What do you think?
Let's see. So it has to be a answer, like an answerable question with a correct answer.
No, they can answer however they want. All they have to
so
do
we're
is
just
say
like
something.
commenting. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's see. What is your favorite pencil hardness?
Ooh, that's a great one. All right, chat, answer those questions. We're going to do a quick little intro video, and we'll be back with the winner. back, everybody. So we got some, cheers, yes. Oat milk latte. So we have some answers. H6, I saw, oh my gosh, the chat's going wild.
Contest time.
2B, HB, a lot of people are saying 2B and HB. Classics.
Good.
B2. 2B?
No, you B2.
2B or not 2B? B2. So chat, thank you for answering those questions. You are now entered to win the chat. And when we'll have a winner announced in just a moment. We will see it floating above our heads magically. Roxanne's like, what is happening? The chat's just a little hype right now. Just a little bit.
Did I comment, or did it just leave the page faster than I could
Yeah,
see it?
exactly. So chat, if you are just tuning in with us, I'm here with Ryan Hamrick doing some awesome hand lettering. We have a winner, Ashley Brown.
Hey!
Congratulations, you have won 100
Ashley.
custom stickers. Here, I'll send them over to you right now. So keep an eye out on your Behance messages. We'll be messaging you about that. In chat, do not be too sad if you didn't win, because we do have a slight consolation prize for you. There should be a link in chat where you can get a couple free stickers.
Sweet.
Yes. So a little bit of a consolation prize today. We're feeling extra special when to send that your way. Check out the link. And we have Ryan for about 1 more hour, which means we have 30 minutes until the deadline for the challenges hits.
I am so stoked to see these things.
Heck yeah. I wonder if there's already some submitted. So the challenge today is to hand letter Adobe Live yourself. So you can use Photoshop, Illustrator, any of the Adobe mobile apps would be appropriate to use. You could use Capture. That would be great. Send that over to us via the link in the challenge tab, and you get 30 minutes. You could do that. Look how quick Ryan is doing this.
That's right. You got this.
Totally got it. We got a color palette for you as well. That is kind of the caveat for the challenge. Use our color palette. We got Liz Schmidt in the chat. Liz.
Hey Liz, what's up?
What's
We're just
up,
talking about
girl?
you.
Yeah, we were. Thanks, Liz, for hanging out with us.
All good, I promise.
Yes. True. Us Midwesterners gotta stick together.
That's right.
Yeah, Lindsay, everybody gets 10 stickers. Do I get 10 stickers? I would like
Right?
10 stickers.
I'd go for 10 stickers. I'll settle for 10 shirts. Go with that.
10 shirts.
All right,
$10.
so I've got this lockup going on here. I'm digging it.
It looks good.
So as we can see, the all black, I kind of started a little bit to the right of where I would have ideally done, just because it's a little bit of a longer line, so it's coming out off the right side, but we can work with that.
Yeah.
So what I want to do now is I want to start playing around with some ideas for adding a little bit of weight to this. So the idea that I have in mind for this go at this shirt is to kind of do sort of a brush script style, and a lot of that is very informed by just how a brush pen works, right? So there's very few better ways to do something like that or to achieve a style like that than to just play around with some brush pens. I dropped the ball and didn't bring my brush pens. Maybe I'll track some down tonight and we can play with it tomorrow a little bit. But just kind of knowing how those work and how they behave when you move them a certain way, and how when you're approaching a piece of lettering like this from a calligraphic standpoint where you're actually trying to attempt these things in single strokes and things like that and actually write this out. And just knowing how the brush pen behaves when you do that kind of thing can really, really inform how you would draw it as well. A lot of the work that I do is drawn, even if it looks like a calligraphic style or something that's very fluid and full of swashes and stuff. I'm not necessarily just doing that with my hand. Sometimes I can pull it off, sometimes I can't.
You're faking it.
Yeah, and so a lot of times it's just I kind of know what style that is that I'm going for, and I just sketch up to create that look. So I'm gonna kind of do that with a brush pen style here without actually using a brush pen, and we can kind of talk about the reasons that I'm doing what on those things. So I'm just gonna go ahead and do it on this one. I didn't leave a ton of space in here, but we can kind of get the idea going, and then when I start to refine and things, we can kind of move things around, fix some spacing issues and stuff like that. So, because I just kind of did this as the skeleton of these strokes and didn't really consider a ton of what my spacing concerns might be later. I'll usually do that in a couple more passes often. So, but for sake of time, let's go ahead and move on to kind of analyzing how weight might be added to these things.
Sweet, let's do
So I
it.
want these strokes to be fairly heavy. I want this to be kind of a chunkier design and not too fine, because it's going to be black on black shirt, remember? So it needs to
Right.
be somewhat legible to be funny, because I think it's hilarious. And usually others do too. So I
Good.
want that to come across and be able to be read and not just look like a bunch of weird things on a shirt.
Yeah.
So I'll start up here right at the top. We'll start with this M here. So this first stroke, this is the first stroke that I would do if I was trying to recreate this in a brush pen. This kind of little theoretically straight stroke, but whenever I'm doing something brush pen wise, I am kind of giving a little bit of like enter and exit movement, right?
Yeah.
Kind of like that little S curve, little
Of
backwards S curve.
chiaroscuro.
Yeah. What is it?
Chiaroscuro, like the lighting. Never mind.
Sure.
It's sculpture.
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah, I like it. Let's keep with that. So when I'm doing that, if I have a brush pen, I'm kind of entering from the left and exiting on the right, just the same way that a stroke like this does, but just kind of just very subtle. So what usually happens with that when you're using a brush pen is you have kind of like a point up in the upper left-hand corner and sort of a point at the bottom right-hand corner, because you're entering here, exiting here, right? So if I'm using this line as a skeleton stroke of what would be like the ideal center of that stroke, then I'm going to kind of add weight to both sides. Some people will say add all your weight to one side or the other.
Right.
I've never had a lot of success with that. People say this lends itself to a lot of spacing problems. I've never had a huge problem with it. So,
Do you?
this has always worked best for me. This is just the best way that I found to be consistent throughout. It's just to add the same amount of weight on both sides rather than trying to gauge what the whole distance is, if
Yeah.
that makes sense. So,
Yeah.
all right, let's see here. I'm gonna kind of just start up here with this like little pen flick point.
Ooh.
Just kind of follow that line, maybe accentuate it a little bit, blow that curve out a little bit more. And this is where that light pencil at the start comes in handy, because I'm using the same pencil hardness now. And so a lot of these strokes are going to look a lot the same. Whereas if I'd started with a lighter pencil, then these darker strokes would kind of feel a little bit more permanent, a little bit like more what I'm going for.
Yeah, yeah.
But, we can imagine. So I've got that point up here, and I'm going to come down the other side of this stroke.
So you're kind of filling out one side
Yep.
and then going over, filling out the other. Ooh, I like it
So see,
already.
we've got this entrance point here where like the point of that felt tip would be at the start of the stroke, and then this point here where it would have ended. And if you'll notice, I didn't do a great job of it everywhere, but in a lot of these spaces you can kind of see where I've left a little bit of a gap between the linking stroke and the next stroke.
Yep.
And that is specifically for adding the weight later.
Oh.
I find that helps me fix a lot of those spacing problems that you would otherwise get if you were just drawing these things side by side, like this black here. I didn't really focus on doing any of it here, and they just kind of come right to a tangent.
Right.
Be really hard to add weight to this particular sketch right here
Yeah.
without having, just a lot of stuff to fix.
Yep.
So when I'm kind of getting further along and kind of dialing in a little bit what I'm looking to do as far as layout goes, then I'll start leaving those little gaps to make it less work for myself later when I'm trying to kind of fix spacing problems and stuff.
Yeah.
So I'll come back up here.
And these little tips that you have for yourself, was this just like trial and error? You had to fix things so many times that you realized this is how I need to do it from now on? Or did you learn tips from someone specific?
Yeah, it was a lot of trial and error.
Yeah.
When I first started, I guess it was probably about 2011 or 2012, somewhere in there. So yeah, I guess like 7 years ago. There was way less, if you can imagine, less than even now as far as resources went for learning this kind of thing.
Totally.
I was in Pittsburgh at the time. There wasn't like a huge lettering scene there or anything. Nobody local to really kind of like mentor me or to learn from at all. So a lot of it was just kind of like trial and error, studying fonts, script fonts and stuff, finding a couple books. The Doyle Young books were some of my biggest early influences, and you can, I think, see a lot of that in a lot of my work for
It's
sure.
Doyle?
Doyled.
Doyled.
Yeah,
Never
like
heard
Donald
that.
with a Y.
That's crazy.
Which, funny story, his best book, or his favorite book of mine at least, I won't say the best necessarily, but for me, the best one is Dangerous Curves. And it is where I kind of saw that cartouche style lettering for the first time, was some of the work that he did.
Yeah,
and
it's
I was just like
beautiful.
instantly hooked.
Right, so chat, if you want to go check out doyledyoung.com, you can see all these pretty books with all these pretty letters.
And another pro tip that I like to throw out there too, the books are kind of expensive. They're I think $100 a piece still.
Yup.
You can find them cheaper on Amazon too, but when I first got Dangerous Curves, the first one that I bought, I found it on eBay by searching for Donald Young.
Oh my god.
Somebody didn't know what they had probably,
Yeah,
and they had
yeah.
it on there for like $40. So I got a steal on that
Did
book.
you search it on purpose?
Yeah, I was just like, what about
maybe.
Donald? Sure enough.
You're
There it was.
outsmarting the stupid. I love it.
it.
Oh, so Chris is wondering why you're not using a light box. Do you usually use a light box?
I don't.
Why not?
I find that tracing paper or the marker paper that I prefer, you can see through it plenty well enough to not need a light box. Obviously, if you just have regular paper, you can use light box to essentially create tracing paper of any
Right.
paper, which is cool. I have one at home, and I, have busted it out a fair amount over the years. But really, ever since the iPad, especially, I haven't really. It hasn't seen the light of day, because usually, even if I do start on paper, I can just take a photo of that, Adobe Capture, bring it in, for instance.
Wow, perfect.
And just play with transparency on that, sketch over that. Or if I'm staying analog, then the marker paper works
Yeah,
perfectly for me.
and you were mentioning earlier that if you have like really transparent tracing paper, it really stops you from thinking
Yeah,
sometimes and really solving problems or thinking differently. You're just
Sure.
kind of brainlessly tracing, which personally I use that as a crutch, and I know I do. I don't want to mess up my my initial sketch, so it
Right.
needs to be exactly the same, but then I'm not thinking critically and solving problems.
right.
So
Yeah, and that's the
shame on
whole
me.
point of those iterations, right? Is to fix the problems that you see, and it's tough to get yourself in a space where you can do that if you can see that other one too clearly. So I like to hide it from myself a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. And Chris again is asking, do family and friends ask you to do Christmas cards all the time? Or birthday
Surprisingly, no.
Wow.
Yeah, I've
They're
gotten
like,
lucky, I think.
we're good, actually.
Yeah. No, yeah, I mean, I expected a lot more of it. I hear a lot of other people having problems like that, and I don't know if nobody just understands what I do or
Oh my
what,
gosh,
but,
yeah.
Yeah, no, luckily I've been pretty fortunate. I'm not sure what I'm doing here on this guy, but another thing too that is something that I will cop to and share just in case you find it frustrating as well. But if you watch Instagram videos or something like that of lettering artists doing things, and they're especially when they're posting videos and they just create this beautiful piece of lettering without ever moving their paper, that is not a human thing. I don't know how they do that.
It's fake.
Yeah. I feel like their camera is attached to their paper or something, and they're really spinning it all around.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Right.
point being, turn your paper around.
Yeah, rotate that baby.
It's hard to do it in the same orientation all the time. Like as you can see here now, I'm not doing great, because a lot of times with these curves, especially when you're sketching them like this, your hand creates a natural pivot point, right? So if I'm doing curved things, if I'm over here, right here, let's do it right
You're like,
there.
where can I
Yeah.
be?
If I just do this, I don't have to move my hand, and I'm drawing this curve, right? Drawing this curve is a lot harder.
Yeah.
It's wigglier. I got to move my whole hand, and it's
Right.
annoying. So I always tell people when I'm doing workshops, whatever, use your hand, that pivot point of your hand to your advantage, and turn that paper around. So if you're doing this curve here, or this one here on the right side of this O, don't force yourself to do it from this side.
Yeah.
I'm going to here in a second, but you don't have to. Turn your paper around
Right.
and do it from the natural side where your hand just lends itself to a better curve. It's like a dumb little trick, but it's made a big difference for me.
No, it's not dumb at all. That's just being like, I'm a human. My
Right?
wrist doesn't go that
Yeah,
way.
why am I making this harder on myself?
So I have a couple brush pens. Don't know if they're going to be super helpful for you, though.
Okay. They're Tombos. That's perfect.
But they are very lightly colored.
Okay.
Womp womp.
Wah, wah.
Let's see what else I got.
It's all right. I'll press
What?
harder.
I'll press harder. Let's see. Thank you, Gus, by the way.
Thanks, guys.
Dropping off some brush pens for me and Ryan.
Your little mission.
Darn, I thought I had like a zebra actual brush tip.
It's all right. I hate that
black
pen.
You hate that
I
one?
hate that.
Okay, I'm glad I don't have it then. I was gonna like hand it to you on a silver platter, like, here, Ryan.
That was funny. I participated in this Instagram challenge that some friends were doing a few years back of using your non-dominant hand to
Yeah.
see if you could do some lettering.
Yeah.
And like the agreed upon pen that everybody was using was the zebra, and I was just like,
Why don't you like
you guys
it?
are doing that on purpose so that I don't have
A double
a
disadvantage.
chance, right? You know, I hate that pen. But interesting thing, we talked about the full arm movement. I was actually able to do a ton better than I thought I could left-handed by just using my arm. So like it was more of a natural motion, and I could kind of get out of my head a little bit,
Yeah.
as opposed to having my hand down. So interesting.
Right, and you're not using those like very fine motor skills in your left
Right.
hand that your right hand has so strongly built over the years.
Exactly.
There you go. I'm a lefty, so I would have,
Oh,
but I'm
man.
also a little ambidextrous. So
I feel like
would've
a lot of
rocked
lefties are, right?
Yeah.
Oh, and Mark's left-handed, right? I think coming up next. I think.
Possibly.
I might be wrong about that.
We'll ask him. We'll
Yeah.
grill him. But yeah, we're living in a righties world, so we gotta be a little bit ambi.
Yeah, that's right.
Just a little bit. So Tiago is wondering, do you prefer to work with a pencil or a pen, brush pen?
Pencil for sure, because with a brush pen, you can accomplish a lot of awesome things. You can get to certain styles a lot faster for sure. But at the end of the day, you can make any style with a pencil. You can
Yep.
sketch any style you want. You can't just, well, I guess you can technically do anything with a brush pen too if you got the space and you got the patience and the control. But, you know, I use brush pens mostly just for if I'm looking for a brush script style.
Right.
And, you know, a pencil, I come at it from the same way and can accomplish a ton of different things.
Yeah. It's kind of the difference between like drawing versus painting.
Sure.
With a brush, you kind of are laying down a thicker stroke.
Yeah, different kinds of brushes gives you different effects, right, and everything. And you know, the same way. There's lots of different ink-based tools that can get you a lot of different looks and stuff. But I, like I said, haven't taken near as much time developing my calligraphic skills and my actual like writing skills
Right.
as I have with my sketching skills. So I can usually get to where I'm going faster with pencil than I
Yeah.
can like redoing a brush pen thing over and over. So I'll
Totally.
use them a lot to get initial ideas out though, for sure, especially if I'm doing something that's, you know, in a brush script style. And it's great for getting the ideas out.
Yeah, and you can have some fun, happy accidents happen.
Yeah.
The thicks and the thins.
Well, and if nothing else, like I said earlier too, like just, you know, kind of using it to study the style that it puts down, you know, just by the natural behavior of that tool.
Yeah.
Okay, so,
First line done.
hey. So we're getting there. It's rough. It's a little tight in spaces. This HE is obviously closer than I would like it to be.
Right.
So that can be fixed, and you know, some balance things going on. But we're kind of getting a feel for how it's going to look. I'd like to probably make these all a little heavier, even to just kind of like really fill the space. Hey. But yeah, I mean, once I get this done the first time, then we'll come back and kind of like, you know, do it in such a way that
Cool.
makes it a little bit more fitting with the next letter and all that stuff, and go from there. So I want to play with this brush pen for a little bit though.
Yeah, tell us about the Tombow.
So the Tombow is an awesome brush pen. They're a little bit pricier than some that you can get, but
Not too bad though.
yeah, not bad. Like
Yeah.
maybe $250 a piece or something
Yeah.
like that. And you can usually get like kits or like packs of them for a lot less per marker. But there's very few brush pens that are as good as these.
They're so, like, the tip is so long.
Yeah.
It's really helpful.
Nice long flexible tip. Is this gonna screw you up, Paco? Oh, I gotta touch it, I promise. Anyway, you can see the length anyway. And yeah, I mean, it's nice and flexible. It does take a little bit of time to get used to the control of the brush pen,
it's almost too
especially
flexible.
especially a big, long, flexible one like this. But once you get that figured out, you can really do some awesome stuff. So I'm just gonna kind of do that top line again down here
Cool.
with the brush pen. So
See how this color works out. Oh, it's nice.
usually a lot darker than they look on cap.
Yeah, true. Yeah, they're so nice. I agree, Anna. People are saying Tombow every day.
I love the gradients that they make.
Yeah, it's almost watercolory.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, you can like mix these and stuff too, right? Like with
Yeah.
you get a little piece of plastic and you can really blend and do all kinds of crazy stuff. That's for somebody more artistically talented than I am. I don't know. Never got that.
They're a little craftier, maybe.
Yeah.
What's up, Shauna Parmesan? How you doing?
What's up, Shauna?
Thanks for hanging out. Matthias said, I bet Kathleen will take the sketch on the last day. I was thinking it in my head, and then you said it. I'm going to steal the sheet of paper.
It's fair.
And someday, somebody's going to be looking up Ryan, maybe Hamrick, on eBay,
you
and they're
go.
going to find the Ryan Hamrick original.
Ham hock.
Ham hock, there you go. This is looking good with the brush pen.
So you can really get something good to go off. And obviously you can connect those strokes in a lot more of a fitting, natural way with this rather than just trying to do the guesswork and stuff of a pencil. So that can kind of save you some time sometimes. Like I said, a lot of times when I'm going for a brush pen style, at the end, if that's my end goal, then I'll start with this and just kind of use this as my first sketch.
Yep.
And I might still go to that pencil next time to really kind of clean up some of the stuff that I couldn't just naturally do with my hand.
Right.
But yeah, it's a great way to kind of get that first pass down.
Yeah, you're kind of making the most efficient workflow possible.
Yeah.
Doing the work for you. Nice. And people keep asking or talking about calligraphy versus hand lettering. I think that's a very common question.
Yeah.
Do you have your boilerplate answer to what the difference is?
Sure, yeah. So it's really pretty simple. Calligraphy is when you are writing it. That's what I'm doing right now, right? So I'm kind of coming back and touching up here and there, whatever, but I am actually writing these strokes with single passes instead of sketching them. And lettering is often built on all those same calligraphic styles and practices and the way those tools work and everything like we talked about before, but you have all the control. You can sketch to that point. You can make a lot more conscious design decisions on those things because you don't have to be able to do that with your hand naturally to be able to accomplish that style. So it's really awesome. And when I was first starting out, especially, I kind of in tandem started playing with brush pens and also with lettering and tried to kind of develop those at the same time. But I noticed my sketching ability, picking up a lot faster than my brush and calligraphy ability. So I try and keep it practiced here and there, but yeah, I definitely will go with that. And then you got typography too, which is something where you are creating something like a font, typefaces, things like that, where you're creating a system, right, for something that can be used in all different kinds of applications. Lettering is usually very specific and for a single-use thing, like a logo type or like a piece of advertising with a very specific phrase, or this shirt with this exact combination of words, right? And so if you're not writing it out by hand with a tool like this, then it's probably lettering if you're drawing it.
Yes.
Just writing versus drawing is really the big thing.
Yep, there you go. That's how I had it explained to me as well. Like
Boom.
lettering, drawing. Wow.
What
Took
was
the
this?
words right out of my mouth.
You were saying?
I don't remember. What's up, Paul Tranny? How you doing?
What's up, Paul?
He says, I have a shirt with this design on it.
Oh yeah, that's right. You did buy this one. Ooh, you know what? Look at this. So see this Y right here? I was wondering what to do with it.
Ooh, the little...
Boom!
What's it called?
How about that?
A tittle?
Tittle. Yeah.
Perfect.
It's the funnest type word ever.
Love it.
All right. Yeah, Paul was actually the host, I think, for the Austin Creative Jam that I spoke at
was thinking
years
he
ago.
probably would be.
Yes.
Nice. Mariella, hello. How you doing?
Just smudged it. It's very wet.
Oopsies.
All
Yeah,
right.
that butcher paper is probably pretty smeary.
And the marker paper is too. A lot of brush pens like take forever to dry on there.
Yeah.
But that's cool. It can kind of create some fun effects too.
Wow, this looks super cool. I actually am digging the green. I know it's not going to be green. It's the whole idea.
If there were less black available in the world, green would probably be my number 2. So
Oh.
good job, Gus.
What shade of green?
Probably more on the kind of like a limeish teal green.
Ooh, okay.
Kind of like a bright teal, kind of not quite to teal, but more green. Rather than like this kind of forest green. But
Yeah.
this is cool too.
Another one of your favorite letters.
Yeah.
The classic B. And chat, if you notice below us, there is a countdown that has turned red, which means it's time to hit Command S on whatever you're working on and get your challenge submission uploaded to us. Now, if you're still working and you're like, I cannot get this done in the next 3 minutes, no worries, you can submit it in the next segment. But if you would like Ryan specifically to review your work, make sure you get it up in the next 2 minutes and 41 seconds, 30 seconds.
Faster.
Yeah, right? It shouldn't take too long to export, but get that uploaded, and then we'll be looking at them in about 5 minutes. What's
wait
up,
to see 'em.
Jackov? There's a lot, actually.
Yeah?
I'm like, kind of like, we're going to have to speed through these. Wow,
We can't go long because Mark is going to be awesome.
Yeah, that's
If you
true.
guys had plans for after this, cancel them.
Cancel them. Don't eat
Mark's
lunch.
awesome. That's right. Lunch can wait. Well, and it's early. Well, so, I mean, a lot of people might be a lot later. So lunch is probably over for a lot of people.
Yeah.
So,
Actually,
there
a
you
lot
go.
of people watch from like Europe,
Oh, nice.
Africa, Asia. So it's like the middle of the
Well,
night.
Behance is so global, right? So, like, you know, that doesn't surprise me one bit. There's people just everywhere, way more
Yeah.
than a lot of the American-based sites. You know, a lot of the other ones are very, American-heavy. But
Right.
that's what I've always loved about Behance is you can target, or you can have an audience from literally everywhere. It's
Yeah.
awesome.
Seriously, it's very cool.
Okay, so I really like the way this worked. I wish I had this like 5
We're done.
seconds earlier. And I do want to make it taller in general at the end. So after the submissions, are we done sketching for today?
We might have like 5 minutes.
Okay, gotcha. Cool.
Maybe.
Yeah, that's fine.
We will see.
All right.
Yeah, Mr. Director says, I'm in the UK. It's nearly 7:30 p.m. It's tea time. Christian says it's 8:30. Oh my gosh, Cynthia's in Belgium. It's 8:30 there too.
Nice.
Becca's wondering, are you going to put the revised design up on Cotton Bureau?
That's a great question. I very well might. However, I don't know. How are we handling like self-promotion here?
You can promote
Okay.
yourself.
So I actually have been developing a clothing line recently.
Ooh.
I thought a lot about what kind of clothes I would want to wear, of course, and it's often very limited because I usually have a black T-shirt on,
Black on
or
black.
maybe add a black button up on it for something fancy like this. But
Let's see.
in thinking about that, I thought there's a lot you can do with black clothing, and there's a lot of people, especially in the circles I run in, yourself included, that like to wear all black as well. So it's going to be basically an all black clothing line
So cool.
with some interesting things happening within that framework. So this shirt will live there as well, but I might do like a Cotton Bureau relaunch of this new design when it's done to kind of like, use it like a Kickstarter kind of thing to get some funds to maybe start making some other pieces and getting some things produced. So I think I very well maybe do that. I'm a Cotton Bureauer for life. Those guys are some of my best friends in the world.
That's
so
awesome.
I will always send things that way, and this one probably will be included in that. So it'll be that, and then there'll be some other things. And when we get into the vector stuff, I will maybe tease the logo that I did for the new brand, which is something
Sweet.
I'm super proud of, and not lettering per se at all.
Okay.
Actually, so
Cool.
something different. But yeah, so that'll be fun.
Nice. And
What's
that'll
our
be.
timer?
Oh yeah, we're hitting it. We're
Hitting
good. We've hit it. William says sold. He will be one of your consumers.
Oh, nice. I like it.
You have 1 fan so far. 2, I'm a fan as well.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, so we have hit the deadline for our challenges. If you don't know what I'm talking about, we challenged you to do some hand lettering besides Ryan while he works. So the challenge was to create Adobe Live and hand lettering using a color palette that we provided. I can't even find the bottom. Let's see how many we have. 3, 6, 9, 10, 15. We have like 20.
Sweet.
And we have about 25-ish minutes, so that's perfect.
You guys are amazing.
Yeah, so we're gonna look through these challenge submissions, and there will be one winner for the day, one challenge winner. So we're just gonna be reviewing, and then at the end of the day, a winner will be selected for a free year of Creative Cloud, I believe is the prize. Usually is.
That is quite the prize.
Alrighty, so Ryan's doing his own rendition of Adobe Live, and we're going to be critiquing that as well.
Sure.
But
you guys critique me, I critique you.
that's true. We could do a little bit of a cross promotion there. But we have this first one open from Mason. And it looks like maybe Mason used this cool futuristic E font.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, using the color palette. I'm not sure if this is technically hand lettering. Like, Mason, if you're here, did you use a font? Did you draw these? Maybe built them in Illustrator? But let's assume.
Yeah,
that-
building letters in Illustrator is lettering.
Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely.
cool. So what do you think? What do you think about this layout?
This is cool. I like the left aligned
Mhm.
look for this particular thing. It feels very very techno, like digital. So kind of
Whoa.
like that left aligned thing is pretty cool. It seems fitting for that rather than something real, balanced and symmetrical.
Right.
Kind of feels like the right vibe for that.
Yeah.
And I like the kind of the reference of the E's and the B.
Yeah.
Kind of using like a reversed shifted E for that B.
True.
And yeah, it's really cool. And I like how he played with the fact that you don't always have to include all of a letter, right? So for it to read as that letter, you got that D there, kind of looks like a backward C, but in the context,
Yeah.
you can see perfectly what it says, which is cool.
Very nice. Nicely done, Mason. Let's move on to the next one. Whoa, this looks like somebody used the blur tool or the blend tool
Nice.
in Illustrator. So this one maybe is kind of the opposite, where it might not be as legible even with
Sure.
in the context.
Well, and this brings us to an important point with letters of any kind and legibility. The cool thing is that you only actually need to see the top half of letters to be able to recognize them. So
Gotcha.
if you're looking at the bottom half of a series of letters, there's a good chance you might not have a clue what it says.
All
But
right, let's test it.
yeah, if
Yep.
you can see the top half, you get a lot more clues as to what you're looking at.
You're right.
So without that downward blend, you can kind of make out what that is pretty well.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a cool way to experiment with that, right? Like make it super illegible, but if you can see the important parts of those letters, then you can figure it out pretty
Yeah.
cool. And again, context is huge in that kind
Right.
of situation for sure.
And Tulsi, I would recommend, if you don't want these kind of jagged ridges in between here, if you're using the blend tool, or if you're not using the blend tool, use it in Illustrator, and then you'll set the settings to smooth instead of steps, and that should make it perfect.
I have a question about that.
Please.
So if you're using the same color between one side of your blend and the other, am I doing something wrong, or does smooth not necessarily make it smooth if it's the same color?
What happens?
It just like steps it out. It's very similar to that.
Oh.
And so usually what I end up doing in those scenarios, like if I'm trying to do like a drop shade or something like that on a piece
Yeah.
of lettering, I will just do a really high number of steps, which fixes it plenty enough for me.
Yeah.
But I always wondered if I was doing something wrong with that. I kind of just taught myself Illustrator at the same time I was learning lettering, so
Right.
I don't know what I don't know a lot of times. So
Right. No, I think
I
that's
don't
a
know.
good workaround.
Okay.
I've never seen that issue before, but I would say if the workaround works.
well, shout in the comments if you are similar, if you know what I'm doing wrong.
Yeah, there you go. All right, so we're gonna have to step through these a little bit quicker.
Okay.
There's quite a few. So this is by Chelsea Skinner. She is a old friend of Adobe Live. What's up, Chelsea?
Nope. What's up,
So
Chelsea?
what do you think about this containing shape versus the hand lettering?
I love it when anybody can pull off some interesting things with shapes and stuff, because I have always just really focused on lettering and have not developed my illustration skills and stuff.
Right.
So this is cool. I like the vibe of like the competing gradients in the background and how those interact with each other and everything. And you can definitely tell that this one is done by hand, probably maybe drawn in Illustrator or something. It looks like, and I like the color treatment that's going on the outline on that. It looks like she's got a gradient going along the stroke.
Gradient stroke, nice.
Very cool. I like it.
Nice job, Chelsea.
Yeah.
Ooh, this is another
yeah, how
blend
about that?
tool, it seems, by David.
Sweet. Nice, David. This reminds me, didn't Adobe put out like a really cool tutorial or like a practice file or something like that was like kind of showing how to do this this like tubular 3D lettering? I love
pretty
that.
sure.
It's really cool. I've yet to dive in and play with it, but I love the way the gradient follows it and actually turns over like the swash of that D, how it kind of wraps around like it normally, like it would if it was an actual object in space. That's really awesome.
Yeah, really nice use of like a popular technique these days, David.
Yeah.
And I think these little accents are nice as well, although I wish that this thinness seems a little off.
Oh yeah, like
me.
maybe a little heavier to balance out
Yeah,
for sure.
you don't really see it anywhere else.
Right.
Yeah, nice job,
Yeah,
David.
Sure.
This is by Tiago.
Oh yeah, now we're talking.
Now we're talking. Now we're cooking with gas.
Cool. I love that A. That is a really cool
nice.
solution for that, because some letters can lend themselves beautifully to some extra swashes and a lot of extracurricular activity, right? But then other ones, you kind of leaves you a little bit stumped sometimes on how to maybe do something a little bit fun with it, fill some space, and that's a really cool solution, right? You don't usually see something happening with the left side of that A.
Yeah, right.
Or sometimes it'll detach or whatever, and I love the way that it kind of comes around and comes back through. That's really cool.
Yeah, this B is nice as well.
Yeah, got a little bit of a infinity little loop going on there. That's awesome.
Nice. And bless you to whoever sneezed in the back.
We're live.
we are humans.
We're doing it live.
And we are live, yes. All right, this is by Heather.
Cool.
A nice, like, mixing slab with some more script
Yeah.
look.
No, it's cool. I like. I've tried to do things like this sometimes, where you essentially cut out some lettering from another shape or other words, especially, and it's always so tough unless it's just a solid background, because you got to play with the negative space of the background too, right, and have it still be legible. And I think that the kerning of the Adobe in the background makes it just tight enough and just solid enough to really be able to really see what you're looking at as far as the live goes. So very cool.
I think it's pretty successful, although my hardest read is the L, which I'm not sure.
Sure.
Maybe you would disconnect it and have the bottom coming, so it's more L.
Yeah, kind of reads maybe like a little bit like a less. Context is helping a lot in this case for sure. But L is tricky. You can definitely lead it into that next letter from a capital L with a linking stroke. But the only suggestion I would have there is to kind of bring it back down a little bit more before coming back up, instead of just kind of going straight up to it, because that's often how I would do an S. It looks very similar to this S here.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. All right, this is by Marco, showing his sketch.
Oh, cool.
And then moving into the final.
I really like the 3D look of that sketch. Can we zoom in on that again?
Yeah. It even shows like the stroke.
Yeah. Well, it's hard to tell from here if if it was even attempted to make it look like 3D with like shading, but it looks like it is. That's really cool.
Yeah.
And I like the way that is that an AL monogram on that? Zoom in there again for me. It might be.
Maybe.
I don't know. Let us know, man.
Yeah.
That's cool, because there's definitely looks like there's more going on than just the A that he ended up with digitally, right? So, yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah, keep working on this if you are interested, Marco, and finish it out with this style. It's very
like
cool. Nice job. This is by Devier.
Ooh. Very nice. I really like that A.
Another little left action.
Yeah, another interesting swash on the A. That's very cool. I often like to bring the bottom swash up and back through to cross the A. It's like kind of a thing that I get in a bit of a rut, maybe even to do
Ryan
to
special.
continue to do that. maybe gets a little played out, but this is really cool, kind of coming in from the top and creating that swash. And the curves themselves are very well executed.
Yeah.
You kind of you got to think a lot about axes of symmetry when you're thinking about these looping swashes that kind of intersect with each other again. And this is definitely someone. What's the name?
Devier.
Definitely can tell that you have been practicing a lot on those loops and those curved shapes because it's really showing. That's awesome. Good
Beautiful
job.
work. Nice. It's by Steven. Already mocked it up on the
he's
featured
ready
t-shirt.
to go to print. Another interesting
Very poppy.
A combination, or not combination, but a solution for how to cross that A and kind of like keep things fluid. That's really cool. Definitely still reads as an A. Getting close to our territory, but I think the way the placement of that right stroke and how it's kind of closer to the right side of it pulls it off okay. If it were any farther left, it might look like an R, but I think it's working.
Yeah.
I also like those big bulbous ascenders on the D and the B. That's really cool.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
Nice job, Steven. This is by Tyrone Henry.
Nice. Let's see.
Cool use of a triple color.
Yeah. You got some layers going on there. I like that V. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And I'm a big fan of big open circle eye tittles. if you're doing something, especially like stuff that's like monolinear like this, where it's not like got a whole lot of contrast going on. You know, I love a good circle solution for an eye.
Nice.
Good job.
Great job, Tyrone. All right, this is by Roxanne.
Oh, now we're talking a little something different.
This is
how about that A?
my territory.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I really like the A, although if I didn't have the rest of the context, I don't know if I'd know it's an A.
Yeah, I think it would read a lot more of an A if it were taking up the same horizontal space as those other round letters. So like, it looks like, I don't know if this was the goal, but it looks like a kind of like a, you know, I don't know my type terms, but the kind of A where you've got the
hat,
the counter on the yeah, sure. Somebody in the comments knows what kind of A that's called. Help me out. But it looks like a a nice lowercase A as opposed to a capital, and I think it is a really awesome approach to it. But I think it should take up the same visual space as all the rest of the DOBE, and it would be a really cool solution for that, for sure.
And the use of the transparency is so nice here, Roxanne. Great job.
Awesome job.
And real quick, I'm just going to see how many we have left. All right, cool. We've got about 10 minutes left.
Cool.
We'll get through these in that time. This is by Arturo.
I like the texture and that strokes.
Beauteous. Arturo, did you use a Photoshop Sketch for this? It kind of looks like a sketch brush.
Yeah, looks like a little maybe iPad digital texture going on there, or maybe
really
even
nice.
a brush in Illustrator or something. Very cool. I like that the E, the shape of that E.
Yeah, this little.
Yeah,
it's nice.
It's kind of a little bit of a surprise, something a little unexpected. That's really cool. And same with the D and the B too. You kind of got that little, quirky transition from the top of those counters to the main strokes, which is unique for sure. I love it.
And this definitely looks hand done, but it doesn't look messy.
Right.
Good job, Arturo. All right, this is Matt.
Oh, cool.
Nice type treatment.
Yeah.
This reminds me of like Fleetwood Mac.
Yes. In a good way.
The
right?
album. Oh, yeah. 100%.
Totally. Only critique that I would have on this one is, in Adobe, you've got, some letters that are, all of which are basically like the same, taking up the same width. You can really get away with kind of like a really standard, consistent width through all those. And then with Live, you've got some letters that can be very thin. You got that I in there, which it can be problematic on spacing.
Yeah.
So what I would do on this one, the A feels like it needs to be a little bit bigger, a little bit wider, meaning, to kind of really feel balanced with the rest of Adobe. And then I would even just, as awkward as it may feel with that Live, I'd give the I a little bit more breathing room between the L and the V, kind of space it out a little bit on both sides. And it might feel like a little gappy, but overall the piece is going to feel a lot more balanced, which would be killer for this one because it's doing a lot of awesome, interesting things for sure.
Yeah, nice job, Matt.
Yeah.
Yanina.
Hey.
Pretty.
Very nice.
Also, maybe it looks like it was on an Illustrator or in a mobile app. Yanina, let us know.
Holler.
I love these colors.
Yeah, that inline is killing it. Those serifs are nice. Nice little slab serif kind of. Got a little bit of a little smooth transition there.
It almost
too.
feels like collegiate a bit, or even circusy.
Yeah. And that inline is doing awesome things for kind of giving a little bit more visual interest there, which is cool.
Yeah.
The live is cutting through there real nice. You can still read it just great.
Beautiful.
Awesome. I like the colors you chose for which parts. I think that helps a lot as far as legibility too. So.
Right. Everyone had the same color palette, but this feels very innovative.
Yeah, because you could do that green over yellow, for instance, and it would be a lot harder to see, right?
Whoa,
So,
yeah.
hey, this one looks like a sticker that's going on my Trapper Keeper.
Yeah,
I like
Patricia, cool.
Awesome. Love it. Yeah, nice little higher contrast option with the serifs. That's very cool. The only thing that kind of jumps out at me as feeling a little bit off, and this is a thing that, can be done a lot of different ways for sure, and you can break a lot of rules in lettering and letter things in general. One thing to always keep in mind, though, is how people are typically used to seeing things. So what I'm going at here specifically is that A, for instance. So an A in a style like this, kind of like a very high contrast serif like this, typically you see the weight of that letter on the right-hand side, actually.
That is true.
So
yeah.
Doesn't look bad. It's a very well-drawn shape overall, and that's cool. Oftentimes, though, things like this, where you have a weight in an unexpected location, can work super well and make something really unique, or it can make it feel off to somebody because their brain is just so used to seeing it a certain way, and then when they see it the other way, they feel like something's wrong and they don't know what.
Exactly. So they're
most people
off.
wouldn't tell you, oh, that A is backwards.
Yeah.
But,
They're just like, I
they
just don't
feel
like
it, right? So something to think about, but otherwise, awesome.
Yeah, nice job. I'm just going to refresh this one more time, make sure we got them all.
Okay,
All right.
only one new one, I guess, right?
All right.
Hey, some more Illustrator tricks. I want to learn how to do this.
It's cool.
This is very cool.
This twist right here.
And the lettering is really solid too.
Yeah.
At the heart of it, because you can do anything with with these stroke tricks in Illustrator these days. But if the actual letter shapes aren't solid, then it can just be okay instead of awesome. And I think this is really leaning more towards the awesome side. Good job.
Yeah, nice job, Roger. It's by Felicia, one of our resident hand letterers.
Oh, nice.
Cool.
Very cool. Got that modern calligraphy style going on. I like the layers on that live. That's very cool. Yeah, this is really neat. I like the O in Adobe a lot.
I do too.
That's
And I
really
like
loopy
the white stroke between the two colored strokes.
Yeah, it makes it really kind of pop off of there. It's cool.
I kind of wish maybe something similar was done here. I don't know, this kind of is all blending together for me color-wise. But maybe that's okay.
Yeah. It's doing its own thing.
Yeah, and cool watercolory texture on there.
Anytime you're dealing with L's and E's, context is your friend again, but at the same time, heights can really throw something off and add a lot of confusion. So if your L's and your E's are the same height, if context isn't super strong, it can be tricky. I don't know what else that would read as if not live, but in some cases it can be tricky for sure.
Yeah. Nice job, Felicia.
Nice.
This is by Mani.
Ooh, I like that bottom swash. Very cool.
Love
And
that
we got
Creative
the Creative Cloud logo in there. How about
Look
that?
at that, Mani.
Very good. Very good. Yeah, this is awesome. I like the, you got an A that looks very similar to the way that I always habitually do them.
Yeah.
I like it. I can feel it.
Yeah.
And that L's doing a lot of extra work and pulling it off. Good job.
Well done, although simple.
Yeah.
Good job, Mani. It's by Augustin.
Ooh, hey, now we're talking. So we got that brush style going on. Very good. I love the leading end of the crossbar on the A. That's a tricky stroke to pull off. So this looks like it was probably at least vectored in the final.
Yeah.
But it's vectored really nicely too, and it looks like very much like a natural stroke. So you got those initial pen flicks and stuff like that. So it's pulling it off, and I like the spray effect on the color too. Good job.
Super, super subtle.
Yeah.
Little shadow highlight.
And sometimes you don't need a tittle on an eye.
Yeah.
You don't even need it. If you don't have space for it, screw it.
Get that context.
Yeah.
You're good. All right, 2 more. We got this from Wade.
This one is vibrating.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah, look at this maroon mixed with this hot pink.
That's really cool. Yeah.
It's
really
not what you
kind
would
of sets it
expect.
apart, makes it stand out for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, good contrast. It feels pretty balanced. The live might be a little heavier than Adobe,
Yeah,
but
especially
again, got to
these.
point out the very creative approach to that A. Everybody's really just killing it. It's
guys are-
giving me
yeah.
some inspiration here, a lot of little challenge because, like I said, I get in the flow of doing things a certain way, and I end up doing things a lot the same way sometimes. So this is really awesome. Thanks, guys, for giving me so many
Seriously.
Good ideas.
You're all
I'm
skilled.
stealing them all. No, I'm just kidding.
They're mine now.
Does this person work at IBM?
A Paul Rand tribute.
Yeah, I like it. Very cool.
Really cool. Adobe.
I talk a lot about simple shapes. I am not, like I said, a super strong illustrator myself, and have kind of stayed in the realm of letters and focused on that, so I didn't have to be a good illustrator. Mark over here is an awesome illustrator. I don't know how he does that.
Nice, Mark.
But yeah, I mean, if you can draw a shape, you can draw a letter. I mean, A, triangle.
Yep.
You know, I mean.
O, circle.
Yeah, I mean, you can get really far with that kind of thing, and for certain things that can be the perfect solution. So good job.
Yeah, really cool. And I love the yellow.
Yeah.
For some reason,
and you got
that's
that green in there.
Did he?
Yeah, the bottom is green, I think, right?
Oh, maybe.
Maybe it's a little low res to see for
Yeah,
sure, but
really creative,
I think
though.
he stuck it in there.
Nice job.
Nice.
So those are all the submissions we have for this segment. But if you're still working, get those submitted. And we have until 3 p.m. today.
Finish mine.
Yeah, right? So we have like 4 minutes left before we welcome the next stream. So maybe in the next couple minutes you can finish that.
Cool.
Good swashes. And then maybe you can tell us again what you did today and what you're going to do tomorrow.
Sure. So today I kind of just showed you a lot of how I would typically start out on any given project. You know, I will start by just kind of laying down the letters that I'm going to be working with and seeing what I've got going, which ones are going to cause me a lot of trouble and give me a real challenge, and which ones are going to be the perfect solution for filling some space or whatever. And once you get that phrasing down, or figuring out how many words to put on each line for a given phrase or what have you, if you're doing a multi-word thing, that can be super important, because overall you can have some really killer letter shapes, but if your layout is all screwy, then it's going to really kill the piece. So figuring that out is a super important part of the early process for sure. And then just kind of drawing, redrawing, figuring out what kind of style you're going to be looking at. I kind of settled on this kind of a little bit looser, more gestural style here. And the lower cases aren't crazy gestural either. I'm not great at doing gestural with a pen, or with a pencil rather.
Yeah.
So that kind of ended up being a little bit neat and tidy in some of the lower cases, so that's okay. I think they're working all right together. And then once I kind of started getting the lockup where I wanted it over here, I started to add in a little bit of weight and see what I might want to do with that. I'm thinking that I'm going to go with a really heavy, maybe high contrast, maybe a little less contrast than I have going on here in the final, but doing something really, really heavy brush script for this one. So it really is nice and bold on the shirt, while still being readable, which can be a challenge. I know Mark likes to do a lot of really heavy stuff too, which always looks killer. And I'm going to try and kind of accomplish something like that. So hopefully he's doing something totally new and I'm not screwing him.
He's like shaking his head back.
I started just kind of sketching in some of these brush script style strokes on some of these letters, and seeing where I might want to go with that, and how the space might be filled with that. So I'll kind of keep playing with that a little bit, maybe later today, and finish up with some sketching tomorrow morning. It'll be morning here. And
what
then
day is it?
From there, tomorrow I'm going to start showing how I use Photoshop and always have to play with my composition. You've got tracing paper, you got marker paper, whatever, but I'm a very impatient person. So a lot of times, especially if I'm on a tight deadline, I will make Photoshop my buddy, and I almost went somewhere else with that, but kind of break things up and piece out these words so I can do my composition in there and save a little bit of time, right? And then just reprint that, resketch it sometimes as well from there. So we're going to do a little bit of that tomorrow.
Perfect.
And just show how I get from my favorite sketch on paper to something that I might want to take into Illustrator.
Awesome.
Which will be day 3.
And that'll be day 3. Perfect. Yeah. So we've got Mark and I believe Renee coming up next. So stick around. But if you want more of Ryan's work, you can follow him at Hamrick on Instagram, and come back tomorrow at 10:30 Pacific time for day 2.
Sweet.
Yeah, so stick around, go get some water, grab your lunch, come back for more streaming, and we'll be back in a few minutes. Thanks, Ryan.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
See ya.
Bye.